Within the column of lightning, Lin Jing instantly felt that terrifying pressure of heaven and earth assail his divine sense. At this moment, Lin Jing was in a state of enhanced possession. Facing the mighty pressure, he was still able to resist. But this pressure was only one aspect. There was also the purple tribulation lightning and those black arcs of lightning that were ceaselessly bombarding Lin Jing's body. Lin Jing's body, amidst this tribulation lightning, was instantly lacerated and flesh torn apart. And those black lightning arcs, taking advantage of this moment, drilled into Lin Jing's body and wreaked havoc. Although Lin Jing had the robust recovery ability of the Overlord Divine Physique and the medicinal power of the rejuvenating pill, constantly repairing his body, this recovery ability still seemed inadequate under the destruction caused by the black lightning arcs. Soon, Lin Jing's flesh and blood could no longer withstand it and began to slowly dissipate. Some areas even revealed the white bones within. At this point, the tribulation lightning had only lasted for 5 breaths. If the estimate wasn't wrong, the duration of Lin Jing's tribulation lightning would be at least 9 breaths. Lin Jing didn't dare to be careless at all. He even sped up the operation of his Overlord Divine Physique. In this manner, the 6th breath, Lin Jing struggled to withstand. The 7th breath, there wasn't a single intact place left on Lin Jing's body. The 8th breath, the power of the purple lightning column doubled, and the flesh on Lin Jing's body was mostly vaporized by the tribulation lightning. Those black lightning arcs clung to his bones, seemingly burrowing into them. But Lin Jing still endured through this difficult 8th breath. Quickly, the 9th breath arrived. As long as he could endure this breath, his tribulation would be considered complete. Although, at this point, Lin Jing's divine sense was almost crushed by the heavenly pressure, to the point of near collapse. He was still gritting his teeth and persevering. At this time, the flesh and blood of Lin Jing's entire body were almost completely vaporized. Even the internal organs protected by the spiritual power were full of cracks. Lucky for Lin Jing, who cultivated the Overlord Divine Physique, otherwise with his current injuries, even a golden core cultivator might not escape death. Soon, the 9th breath came. In just an instant, Lin Jing's bones crumbled, and the spiritual power that protected his vital organs also revealed flaws at this moment. Those black lightning arcs, taking advantage of this, entered Lin Jing's internal organs and bones. At this point, Lin Jing wanted to stop them, but he was already powerless to do so. Under the fierce tribulation lightning, Lin Jing was by now almost out of control over his own body, with only his consciousness still somewhat lucid. If one were to reckon, 9 instants would be about the time of 1 breath. However, the 9th breath of tribulation lightning had passed by only an instant. Just when Lin Jing thought the tribulation lightning would lead to failure, and he himself would be devoured by it, suddenly, those black lightning arcs that had entered his body didn't seem to be damaging it, but instead were assisting him in absorbing the tribulation lightning. As the tribulation lightning was absorbed, Lin Jing's once feeble state quickly improved. Afterward, the 9th breath passed. However, the tribulation lightning did not stop and even ushered in the 10th breath. At this moment, Lin Jing, who was in the midst of the tribulation lightning, was stunned. Even the people outside, watching Lin Jing's tribulation, were also stunned. Everyone knew 9 is the extreme number, and the heavenly tribulation at most lasts for 9 breaths. But Lin Jing's heavenly tribulation was not only exceedingly powerful, but had even surpassed the commonly known 9 breaths of tribulation lightning. This phenomenon left the onlookers completely dumbfounded. The blue-robed cultivator and others had bitter expressions on their faces at this moment, deeply regretting their previous actions. The 10th breath of heavenly tribulation was different from the previous ones. This tribulation thunder contained a vast amount of spiritual power, which poured into Lin Jing's body. And Lin Jing, under the forceful infusion of the tribulation thunder, seamlessly entered the nascent soul stage. After entering the nascent soul stage, Lin Jing's body rapidly healed. In just a few moments, Lin Jing's body had restored to its original state. However, the Tribulation thunder still did not stop. Under the infusion of the Tribulation thunder, Lin Jing's body continued to passively receive the terrifying spiritual power from it. Even Lin Jing himself was unable to control it. Next, the 11th breath, the Tribulation thunder persisted. And Lin Jing, in the midst of the immense infusion of spiritual power, advanced to the second layer of the nascent soul stage. At this time, Lin Jing, within the midst of the Tribulation thunder, was unaware. But those who were observing the Tribulation noticed that the Tribulation clouds above Lin Jing's head were shrinking at a visible rate to the naked eye, as if they were being absorbed by the thick Tribulation thunder. Yet in the midst of the Tribulation thunder, Lin Jing felt remarkably comfortable. The sensation of increasing cultivation made Lin Jing entirely intoxicated, almost causing him to forget everything in the outside world. This Tribulation thunder ultimately lasted for 12 breaths of time. After the 12th breath had passed, Lin Jing's cultivation had finally reached the third layer of the nascent soul stage. The moment the Tribulation thunder disappeared, Lin Jing hurriedly took out clothes to put on. As for his original clothes, they had long since turned to ash amidst the Tribulation thunder. Next, Lin Jing circulated his cultivation technique, feeling his own spiritual power. At the third layer of the nascent soul stage, Lin Jing felt as if in a dream. By merely surviving the heavenly tribulation, he had already reached the third layer of the nascent soul stage. Afterward, Lin Jing looked down at his own body. Lin Jing's body was now very symmetrical, with perfect muscular lines, but not overly bulky. At this time, Lin Jing's skin was no longer as fair as before. It had become somewhat darkened. Now, he somewhat resembled a body refinement cultivator. Moreover, a layer of dark golden light was reflected over Lin Jing's body, an indication that the Overlord Divine physique had once more improved. And that was not all. When Lin Jing circulated the Overlord Divine physique, he could even feel the power of thunder coursing through his body. However, Lin Jing had yet to experiment with whether his punches would carry the power of thunder when he struck. Having just successfully undergone the tribulation and possessing the cultivation of the third layer of the nascent soul stage, stunned those who were watching nearby. It was a long while before someone came to their senses. If he could harness this thunderous power within his body for his own use, that would be even more perfect. Afterwards, Lin Jing looked towards the spectators surrounding him. Having just successfully undergone the tribulation and possessing the cultivation of the third layer of the nascent soul stage, stunned those who were watching nearby. It was a long while before someone came to their senses. At this time, the first to react was naturally Su Yi. Once Su Yi came to his senses, he stepped forward, and in the next moment, he arrived beside Lin Jing. This was a magical ability, reducing the earth to inches, that only nascent soul cultivators could perform. When Su Yi arrived next to Lin Jing, he first sized Lin Jing up and down before speaking. Lin Daoyu, I never imagined you would be so strong. The heavenly tribulation you just went through is simply unheard of. Even after the tribulation, Lin Daoyu, you have already surpassed me by 2 whole realms. It's really... Before, I was quite confident. But now, in front of Lin Daoyu, I feel like I'm just a piece of trash. Facing Su Ye's praise, Lin Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Su Daoyu, you're thinking too much. The fact that you were able to successfully advance to the nascent soul stage is already extraordinary. What happened to me was purely an accident. As for why it was like this, I'm not very clear myself. After hearing this, Su Yi expressed his astonishment. Lin Daoyu, you actually do not know about your own heavenly tribulation? Lin Jing shook his head and said, no idea. During the Golden Core tribulation, although it was equally grand in scale, it wasn't like now, where just undergoing one tribulation led to an advancement to the third level of the nascent soul directly. Su Yi stroked his chin and after pondering for a while said, I've never heard of a heavenly tribulation like the one Lin Daoyu has just experienced. At that moment, the Wu-surnamed cultivator came up and said to Lin Jing, "Congratulations, Lin Daoyu, on successfully advancing to the nascent soul stage." Lin Jing nodded slightly and then looked at the Wu-surnamed cultivator, saying, "You flatter me, Wu Daoyu. Seeing Wu Daoyu's extraordinary aura, I estimate that you could soon undergo tribulation and advance to the nascent soul stage if all goes well." The Wu-surnamed cultivator modestly said, "Yes. However, I can't compare to Lin Daoyu, who was able to directly advance 3 minor realms in this tribulation. It's truly unprecedented and unheard of." Suyi also nodded his head in agreement. Lin Jing could only helplessly shake his head in response. Afterward, Suyi spoke up, glanced at the blue-robe cultivators, and said to Lin Jing, "Those people should have been your protectors, but they fled at the critical moment. How do you plan to deal with them?" The Wu-surnamed cultivator also spoke at this moment. "I'm also responsible for this. Choosing the wrong people reflects badly on me, and I've let down Lin Daoyu. Here, let me first apologize to Lin Daoyu. As for those few, it's up to Lin Daoyu to deal with them." Lin Jing turned his head and glanced at them. Then he said to the Wu-surnamed cultivator, "Since you called them here, you deal with them." The Wu-surnamed cultivator was stunned for a moment and then asked, "Me?" Lin Jing nodded and said yes. The Wu-surnamed cultivator turned to look at Suyi, and, seeing that Suyi had no objection, he gave a cupped fist salute to Lin Jing and said, "Rest assured, Lin Daoyu, I will give you a proper resolution." Saying this, he left alone, flying towards the direction where the blue-robed cultivators were. After the Wu-surnamed cultivator left, Suyi asked, "Why didn't you just kill them?" Lin Jing replied, "After all, they were arranged by Wu Daoyu. It's better to let him handle it. Besides, among them is an array master. If we kill them rashly, we'll need someone to set up the teleportation array when we leave later." Hearing this, Suyi nodded. Before long, the Wu-surnamed cultivator returned, holding a storage bag in his hand. After the Wu-surnamed cultivator came back, he handed the storage bag directly to Lin Jing, saying, "This is what those few are offering as compensation for their wrongdoing. Lin Daoyu, please accept it." Lin Jing took the storage bag and then let his divine sense probe into it, taking a glance, and nodded. Inside the storage bag were several million spirit stones, along with various spirit plants and materials. What pleased Lin Jing was, inside the storage bag, there was a 4th-rank spirit plant that Lin Jing had been lacking, the green spirit grass. Furthermore, this green spirit grass was quite intact, with its roots included, allowing it to be planted in the system space. Green spirit grass was the main ingredient for refining green spirit pills, and the azure spirit pill is used to increase one's cultivation during the nascent soul stage. However, azure spirit grass usually only grows in deep mountains with extremely dense spiritual energy, which is very rare in the demonic monster sea. Therefore, Lin Jingji had not acquired any until now. After that, Lin Jing stowed the storage bag away. Then, the Wu-named cultivator continued. "Furthermore, aside from those 2 array masters, I will have the rest scout ahead. As for whether they live or die, that's up to their fate." Lin Jing nodded slightly and said, "All right, let's do that then." Previously, Lin Jing had learned from shopkeeper Shin's memory that after leaving the devouring spirit blood realm, the outside would be very dangerous. There would be strange demonic beasts that could attack at any moment. Setting up the formation to exit would also require a location that is closest to the exit and rich in spiritual energy. Therefore, someone needed to scout the way. Originally, the Wu-named cultivator had already arranged for people to scout ahead. Now, he was simply adding a few more to the group. After settling this matter, the Wu-named cultivator spoke again to discuss leaving the devouring spirit blood realm with Lin Jing and another person. 2 days later, on a vast, boundless plain, a group of cultivators was walking across the plain in formations. Each of them was in a defensive stance, being very cautious. At the very front of the group, 2 cultivators were leading the way. Those 2 at the forefront were none other than Lin Jing and Suyi. Suddenly, "Ow!" a scream rang out, and at the rear of the group of cultivators, one who was on full alert and defending keenly, was suddenly bisected. An immense amount of blood spattered onto the yellow-brown ground. The surrounding cultivators hastily maneuvered their magical treasure, flying swords, striking towards the front of the cultivator, who was cut in two. Boom! Bang! Clang! With the sounds of impact, a yellow-brown silhouette appeared in front of the bisected cultivator. It resembled a mantis, but its body was as thin as a bamboo pole, with flat forelegs sharp like blades. At this moment, blood was dripping down from it. Clearly, the cultivator had been cleaved in half by this mantis-like, bizarre demonic beast. The attacks from the magical treasures seemed to barely affect this strange demonic beast. The numerous attacks at most left only shallow marks on its body. Seeing more magical treasures flying towards it, the creature forcefully leapt, instantly retreating a great distance. After it was out of the reach of the attacks, the strange demonic beast's form began to fade rapidly, and in just a moment, it was no longer visible. This bizarre demonic beast could actually turn invisible. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly appeared where the beast had turned invisible. The figure then struck towards the void with a punch. There was tremendous force behind the fist, and as it was thrown, one could vaguely see black arcs of lightning appearing. The person who had appeared suddenly was Lin Jing. After Lin Jing threw the punch, the mantis-like demonic beast form was revealed. Struck by Lin Jing's punch, the creature's bamboo pole-like body snapped in half. However, it did not die. Instead, it forcefully pushed off with its legs, dragging the broken half of its body as it pounced towards Lin Jing. Lin Jing then stepped forward and reappeared right in front of the bizarre, demonic beast. He followed up with another punch, blasting a large hole through the demonic beast's head. And with that, the beast remained frozen in place, then fell heavily to the ground, dead beyond any doubt. After this demonic beast died, Lin Jing directly reached his hand into its skull, and after groping around for a while, he found a dark brown demonic beast inner core. He then wiped it clean and put it away. After putting away the demonic beast inner core, Lin Jing once again returned to the front of the group of cultivators. This time, 1,000 people altogether had been deceived into entering the devouring spirit blood realm, but less than 200 survived and walked out of it. And among these 200 people, not many had actually made contributions to leaving the devouring spirit blood realm, but they were all companions in misfortune. The cultivator, surnamed Wu, had previously shared the news about leaving with them, and when faced with their request to travel together, he did not refuse. Thus, these people left the devouring spirit blood realm together with Lin Jing and the others. After leaving the devouring spirit blood realm, everyone arrived at this plane. Although this plane is outside of the devouring spirit blood realm, it is equally dangerous. Just like the strange demonic beast that resembled a praying mantis, appearing on this plane at any moment. Moreover, these strange demonic beasts are extremely unique. They can enter an invisible state. Once entering the invisible state, even divine sense can't detect the demonic beasts, making them very eerie. The moment these people entered the plane, they were attacked by those strange demonic beasts. That attack caused a sudden casualty of 20 or 30 people among those who had just come out of the devouring spirit blood realm. Some among them even tried to quickly escape the area by flying on their swords. However, only after they flew into the sky did they realize that it was even more dangerous there, because those demonic beasts could also fly. If on the ground, people could still counterattack, then in the sky, they didn't even have the chance to retaliate. Several cultivators had just flown up when they were directly split in half by those strange demonic beasts. Eventually, after pooling their wisdom, they formed this mutual defense formation and moved towards the entrance where the teleportation array could be set up. As for the previously planned reconnaissance mission, it had to be scrapped. Under these circumstances, straying alone meant certain death. And during Lin Jing's tribulation, the few who had hidden away, apart from 2 array masters who needed to set up the teleportation array and were being protected by the cultivator surnamed Wu, the rest died under the sneak attacks of those strange demonic beasts traveling in a defensive formation. Although the pace was slower, under mutual defense, those strange demonic beasts dared not attack rashly. Only occasionally, some more powerful beasts would make sneak attacks when someone let down their guard. That was what happened just now. The reason that Cultivator was killed was that there was no prior detection by anyone. It must be due to negligence on the part of that small team. The invisibility of those demonic beasts was particularly powerful. Even when concentrating divine sense to its full extent for surveillance, they could barely detect the beast's shapes a few meters before the creatures lunged at them. And even for Lin Jing, concentrating divine sense to its full extent for surveillance, he could not maintain it for a very long time. Therefore, over the past couple of days, there were continuous casualties among the cultivators. Until now, the number of remaining people had already dropped below 100. However, as everyone proceeded, they clearly felt that the spiritual energy was growing richer. It is estimated that it won't be long before they reach the entrance, set up the formation, and left this ghastly place. When Lin Jing returned to the front of the group, Su Yi spoke to Lin Jing. "Let's continue on. Quickly get away from this ghastly place." Lin Jing nodded and then, together with Su Yi, led the way at the front, guiding the people behind them as they continued walking forward. The death of that person just now did not sadden anyone. At this point, nothing else mattered. Preserving one's own life is of utmost importance. After all, no one knows whether the next stroke of bad luck will fall upon themselves. The next day, the remaining group finally made their way out of the plains and arrived at the base of a mountain. By this time, the team that had originally numbered close to 200 people had dwindled to only about 50. This was simply because the further they went, the more exhausted people became, and the defensive formation started to show more and more flaws. So on this last day, nearly 40 people were left behind on the plains forever. When they reached the foothills of the mountain, the people did not stop to rest. They headed up the mountain under the leadership of Lin Jing and Su Yi. At this point, the mountain's spiritual energy was denser than any they had encountered before. Moreover, since arriving at the base of the mountain, the group had not suffered any attacks. After climbing some distance and finding no dangers, everyone finally began to relax. And so, they climbed until they reached the summit. Atop the mountain, besides the bare peaks, there was a simple courtyard enclosed by a fence. In the courtyard stood a thatched hut, and next to that hut was a formation that had been destroyed. Upon seeing this thatched hut, Lin Jing's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. This house must be the one that Lin Jing had seen in the reflection while in observation mode. At that time, the withered old man was inside this house, and Lin Jing had later confirmed that he was the divine transformation cultivator. At this moment, the Wu surnamed cultivator stepped forward, examined the formation next to the hut, and then said, "This formation seems to be a teleportation array, and it has been damaged." After speaking, he gestured towards the blue-robed cultivator and said, "Come here, take a look at this formation." The blue-robed cultivator then walked over, studied the formation closely, and afterwards said to the Wu surnamed cultivator, "This formation is indeed a teleportation array. Furthermore, it was not damaged by someone, but rather someone used the teleportation array to leave, allowing the formation to self-destruct. If we can make use of this self-destructed teleportation array, setting up the new one would save us quite a bit of trouble." After hearing this, the Wu surnamed cultivator nodded and said, "Let's leave this task to you. This time, I hope you won't cause me any more problems, or else I won't be able to protect you." Hearing this, the blue-robed cultivator repeatedly nodded, saying, "Rest assured, this time I will make sure to repair the teleportation array properly." Before, the blue-robed cultivator, along with a few other array masters, had been protected in the middle of the group, preventing any accidents from befalling them. Their protection was naturally concerned with this teleportation array. It was time for them to do their part. Having said this, the blue-robed cultivator immediately called the other array masters to start examining the teleportation array. Lin Jing, meanwhile, looked at the thatched hut and said to Su Yi, "Fellow Taoist Su, shall we go in and take a look?" Su Yi nodded and replied, Very well. With that, the two walked into the courtyard and headed for the thatched hut. Lin Jing and Su Yi arrived at the thatched cottage, and with a mere extension of his hand, Su Yi pushed the door open directly. Then, what was revealed was the interior arrangement of the cottage. Lin Jing looked at the thatched cottage, feeling an immense sense of familiarity. It was indeed the dwelling place of the divine transformation cultivator. That divine transformation cultivator was not here. It was likely that earlier, when Lin Jing was about to undergo his tribulation, the divine transformation cultivator had intended to intervene. But he was wounded by the heavenly tribulation, no doubt seriously. Therefore, he had no choice but to use the teleportation array to leave. If he were still here, probably none of them, Lin Jing and his companions, would have escaped. The cottage's interior was very simple, exactly the same as Lin Jing had seen before. However, in the very center of the cottage, there was a well. Su Yi, upon seeing the well, was very curious and quickly walked up to look inside. No sooner had Su Yi leaned over than he cried out in astonishment. After which, upon realizing what it was, he was utterly shocked. This, Lin Daoyu, come quickly. Lin Jing then also went over and looked down into the well. He saw reflected within the well the scene of none other than the devouring spirit blood realm, the blood-red earth, and the sea of blood, which had once again become tranquil. And those blood corpses, after Lin Jing and his companions departed, had once more entered the sea of blood. Most of those blood corpses were cultivators like themselves who had been deceived into entering. However, these people had not been able to walk out of the devouring spirit blood realm alive, all having become blood corpses left inside. This included Qi Yuanshu and Jian Yunxiang, among others. Less than 200 managed to leave the devouring spirit blood realm, but a large portion of these 200 couldn't make it even out of the plains, their bones buried within this relic. Now, including Lin Jing and Su Yi, only 52 people had survived. After watching for a while, Lin Jing, finding it uninteresting, left the well and walked a circle within the cottage. This thatched cottage was just the extremely ordinary kind. Nothing special about it, probably built by that divine transformation cultivator before. After all, besides him, there was no one else here. It's just that Lin Jing still didn't know who that divine transformation cultivator was, what his name was. As for the previous threats of the divine transformation cultivator, Lin Jing didn't really take them to heart, because when Lin Jing underwent his tribulation, he had concealed his true appearance and aura. After practicing the Changyan hidden technique, one could deceive cultivators who were 2 major realms higher in cultivation than oneself. Lin Jing, at the Golden Core Peak, was just able to deceive that divine transformation cultivator. So, Lin Jing was not afraid of being exposed at all. As long as he changed back to his own appearance after leaving, it would be very difficult for the divine transformation cultivator to find him again. By then, Lin Jing could also hide in the dark, investigating the true identity of the divine transformation cultivator. After circling the thatched cottage and finding nothing, Lin Jing left the cottage with Su Yi. As the two came out, the Wu-name cultivator immediately approached, asking with confusion, "Su Daoyu, Lin Daoyu, what is inside the cottage?" Su Yi responded directly, "Go and take a look for yourself, and you will know." The Wu-named cultivator nodded, then entered the cottage. After a short while, the Wu-named cultivator inside the house let out the same sound as Su Yi. This. The cultivators gathered outside, hearing this, also became curious and looked towards the thatched cottage. At this moment, Lin Jing and Su Yi had already walked out of the courtyard. The cultivators outside looked questioningly towards the thatched cottage, and then glanced at Lin Jing and Su Yi. Seeing this, Su Yi addressed the crowd. "Those who want to take a look, go ahead, don't mind us." Hearing Su Yi say this, the cultivators then swarmed into the courtyard and made their way towards the thatched cottage. Su Yi then turned around and said to Lin Jing, "Lin Daoyu, we are about to leave soon." Lin Jing nodded, saying, "Yes." Su Yi continued, I do not know where Lin Dao resides, but if there is time, I would like to visit to discuss our Dao. Lin Jing nodded and then said, if Su Dao wishes to find me, you could directly come to Li Yin Island in the Thousand Islands domain. Upon hearing this, Su Yi nodded slightly. Thousand Islands domain, Li Yin Island. All right, if there's time, I will certainly visit Lin Dao. Lin Jing gave a slight smile and said, you are most welcome. Soon, several more hours had passed. The teleportation array had finally been repaired and completed. By this time, the others had already finished touring the thatched cottage. One by one, they were all sitting cross-legged on the ground, meditating and resting. Upon hearing the news that the teleportation array was repaired, everyone was overjoyed, opening their eyes one after another and standing up to approach the teleportation array. Having been trapped in the devouring spirit blood realm for so many years, everyone was in danger, and now, hearing the news that the teleportation array was fixed, how could they not be excited? Not to mention the other cultivators. Even Lin Jing himself felt a sense of joy that he could finally leave. At this moment, the blue-robe cultivator was explaining the situation of the teleportation array to a cultivator surnamed Wu. Wu Daoyu. This teleportation array is a random one. Its range isn't very wide, just within the area of the Thousand Islands domain in the southern outer seas. Furthermore, this teleportation array may have a slight deviation during the teleportation, but the deviation should not exceed 10,000 sea miles. 10,000 sea miles might seem far, but to the entirety of the southern outer seas, it wasn't much. This deviation was within an acceptable range for everyone present. Upon hearing this, the cultivator, surnamed Wu, nodded and said, all right, since the teleportation array has been completed, then we can leave now. So who's going first? At this point, the ones who had just been excited now fell silent. Perhaps they still couldn't believe it, or perhaps they were still worried about the teleportation array. This time, surprisingly, not a single person stepped forward. Seeing this, the blue-robed cultivator quickly said to everyone, everyone, this teleportation array is definitely reliable. You don't need to worry. However, as soon as the blue-robed cultivator said this, the cultivators still did not move. So the blue-robed cultivator directly said, everyone, if that's the case, then I'll go first, to spare you all any worry. After saying this, he strode forward and stood on the teleportation array. As he stepped on it, the light of the teleportation array slowly started to glow. It was at this moment that the blue-robed cultivator directly clasped his hands towards Lin Jing and said, Senior Lin, for the previous matter, I once again apologize to Senior. If I get out, you're welcome to visit Utian Island, and I shall compensate you. Lin Jing looked at the blue-robed cultivator and gently nodded. As for going to Utian Island, Lin Jing didn't entertain the thought. But considering that the blue-robed cultivator, after that incident, had behaved properly all along this journey, and also because he had repaired the teleportation array they would use to leave, Lin Jing naturally wouldn't dwell on the past issue anymore. His nod was to let this person be at ease. Afterwards, the white light brightened, becoming so blinding that one couldn't keep their eyes open. Following a whoosh, the white light dissipated, and the blue-robed cultivator was teleported away. After the blue-robed cultivator had been teleported out, the others eagerly responded, wishing to leave as well. Thus, under the arrangements of the cultivator, surnamed Wu, these cultivators were all teleported out, one after another. Lin Jing and Su Yi, the two of them waited until almost everyone had left, leaving just the cultivator, surnamed Wu, and a few other array masters. Only then did the two of them move forward. The cultivator, surnamed Wu, was responsible for arranging everyone's departure, so he stayed until the end, while those array masters stayed behind in case anything unforeseen happened with the formation. These few remained till the last. Similarly, Lin Jing and Su Yi had the highest cultivation. If anything were to occur, they would be able to act defensively. Therefore, they weren't in a rush to leave. Now, only a few of them remained. It was time for Lin Jing and Su Yi to leave. Approaching the formation, Lin Jing stepped onto it. Then, as the light from the formation brightened, Lin Jing also felt the tearing force brought by the teleportation. At this moment, Suyi spoke up, cupping his fist towards Lin Jing. "Lin Dao, you will meet again someday." Lin Jing replied in kind, clasping his fist. "Until we meet again." Immediately following this, Lin Jing's voice fell, and the teleportation array was already activated, whisking Lin Jing away from that place. In the Southern Sea region, near Spirit Rock Island. This entire sea area falls under the jurisdiction of Spirit Rock Island. In the outer Southern Sea, most people are aware that on Spirit Rock Island, there's a mysterious family adept at cultivating spirit plants. This family is not only proficient in growing spirit plants, but is also very powerful. Therefore, in the sea near Spirit Rock Island, whether it's any cultivator or other forces, generally, they all give Spirit Rock Island some respect. When passing by, they would all steer clear of this sea area. After all, the rumors say that on Spirit Rock Island, there might be divine transformation cultivators. At this moment, in the sea near Spirit Rock Island, a figure suddenly appeared. After appearing, this figure glanced around, then muttered with confusion, "Where have I been teleported to? This place doesn't quite feel like the outer Southern Sea." This person who had just been teleported was none other than Lin Jing. Looking at the somewhat unfamiliar sea area, Lin Jing couldn't help frowning. Because if everything were normal, the outer Southern Sea should not have such strong spiritual energy. However, the spiritual energy here was obviously more intense than in the outer Southern Sea. Lin Jing even suspected that he might have been teleported incorrectly again, ending up in some other place. However, it was good to be teleported out. Without further concern, Lin Jing immediately activated the Changyun hidden technique and restored his original appearance. Now that he had emerged, naturally, there was no need to hide anymore. After regaining his original appearance, Lin Jing looked around for a while, then directly chose a direction. With one step, he left the place. Lin Jing's current cultivation level had reached a point where he actually no longer needed to fly with his sword. Back in the Golden Core stage, perhaps his speed wasn't that fast. But after entering the Nascent Soul stage, all cultivators would undergo a transformation. That transformation involved aerial void crossing and shortening vast distances to mere inches. During the Golden Core stage, Lin Jing needed to wield a magical treasure or condense his own spiritual power to levitate in the air. But it was different in the Nascent Soul stage. Nascent Soul cultivators, due to the presence of the Nascent Soul within their bodies, could initially control the spiritual power within several meters around themselves and practice aerial void crossing. Even without any magical treasure, they could stand in the void. Furthermore, they could walk through the void as if on solid ground. Besides that, Nascent Soul cultivators could also use the technique of covering great distances in a single step. Covering great distances in a single step touched upon the mysteries of space. With one step, one could cover several miles. This was especially true for body refinement cultivators. With the enhancement of covering great distances in a single step, it was like adding wings to a tiger, catching other cultivators completely off guard. Apart from these, the greatest change for Nascent Soul cultivators was the condensation of the Nascent Soul. The Nascent Soul was extremely enigmatic. After cultivating a Nascent Soul, one need not fear injury. Unless it was some extremely fatal damage, no matter how severe the injury, it could heal quickly. Even if one suffered fatal injuries, such as decapitation or disintegration, the Nascent Soul within a Nascent Soul cultivator's body could escape from the physical vessel and seize a new one. Or it could also enter a soon-to-be-born infant and reincarnate to cultivate anew. Cultivating a Nascent Soul meant that one had transcended the cycle of rebirth. Of course, there were exceptions, such as being killed by someone, with even the Nascent Soul unable to escape. Then, that would mean true death, without any chance of reincarnation or rebirth. At this moment, in Lin Jing's dantian, A 2-inch tall figure was seated cross-legged, surrounded by numerous strands of spiritual power, seemingly in deep cultivation. That figure was an exact miniature version of Lin Jing. It was Lin Jing's nascent soul. Lin Jing continued on his journey. Before long, I spotted an island. Moreover, it was an inhabited one. Upon seeing this, Lin Jing immediately cheered up and flew straight toward the island. However, just as Lin Jing was about to approach the island, he discovered a large formation in front of him. It turned out that the entire island was protected by a formation, and what's more, this formation was a 5th-rank trapping and killing array. Luckily, Lin Jing noticed it in time and didn't step into it. Nonetheless, Lin Jing's sudden arrival had still triggered the formation, which emitted a dazzling white light. And at that moment, a deep and rich voice came through. Who dares to forcefully intrude upon Spirit Rock Island? Accompanying the voice was a middle-aged cultivator. This middle-aged man had a jade-like complexion, was dressed in a Confucian robe, and appeared scholarly, but the aura he exuded was remarkably composed. Moreover, his cultivation was not low, possessing a mid-stage nascent soul cultivation. After the middle-aged man appeared, he first sized up Lin Jing, noticing that Lin Jing also had a 3rd-layer nascent soul cultivation, and then he greeted Lin Jing with a fist and palm salute. This fellow Taoist, may I inquire what business brings you to suddenly enter the bounds of Spirit Rock Island? Spirit Rock Island was closed off year-round, and formations were set up in the surrounding sea region in addition to having a divinity transformation cultivator in residence, which made its reputation widely known. Therefore, it was rare for anyone to intrude upon the island without reason. This time, Lin Jing's sudden arrival had truly surprised the middle-aged man, but seeing no hostility from Lin Jing, he lowered his guard and asked politely. It was also from this middle-aged man that Lin Jing learned that he was within the boundaries of Spirit Rock Island. Suddenly it all made sense. No wonder the spiritual energy was so rich here. Following that, Lin Jing also gave a fist and palm salute in return. I only took the teleportation array, and by accident, I was transported to the range of Spirit Rock Island. I apologized for the disturbance. Upon hearing this, the middle-aged man immediately understood and responded with a salute. I see now. Lin Jing gave the middle-aged man a quick once-over, and then he spoke. If I'm not mistaken, fellow Taoist should be the father of Yin Xing and Yin Yu. The reason Lin Jing said this was because he felt a sense of familiarity upon his first glimpse of the middle-aged man. Not until he mentioned Spirit Rock Island did Lin Jing recall the 2 young girls, Yin Xing and Yu, whom Yin Wanfei once saved from the demon cultivator Daimao. And this middle-aged man did bear a resemblance to Yin Xing and Yin Yu. Lin Jing's words left the middle-aged man immensely surprised and a bit more guarded as he said, "You know my daughter? My daughter has grown up on Spirit Rock Island and seldom left its shores, and even when she did, I personally accompanied her. Having never met you before, may I ask where you made the acquaintance of my daughter?" After a brief moment of contemplation, Lin Jing began. That would have been around 20 years ago, I believe. Back then, Lu brother, Sanhe brother, Yin brother, and I were all setting out to deal with the demon cultivator Daimao. It was then that I met Yin Xing and Yu. Hearing Lin Jing's story, the middle-aged man's eyes suddenly brightened, and he said, "So you're the Uncle Lin that Xing and Yu always talk about?" Lin Jing smiled and nodded. Then he gave a fist and palm salute to the middle-aged man. "I am Lin Jing." The middle-aged man also clasped his fist and responded to Lin Jing. "Yin Ming, Lin Daoyu, since you have come, it's also a twist of fate. Why not come to the island for a chat? It's a good opportunity to see how Xing and Yu, those 2 girls, are doing." Facing Yin Ming's invitation, Lin Jing did not decline and nodded. "Since Brother Yin has kindly invited me, I shall humbly accept." Yin Ming smiled and gestured with his hand to guide Lin Jing. "Lin Daoyu, please." Afterward, Yin Ming led the way in front, opening the formation that protected the island. Together with Lin Jing, they arrived on Spirit Rock Island. As soon as he set foot on Spirit Rock Island, Lin Jing felt the difference in this place. The spiritual energy on the entire island was exceptionally rich. Moreover, this richness was not caused by a spirit-gathering array. It was as if there was a spirit vein beneath Spirit Rock Island itself. However, Lin Jing did not ask further. After all, the reason Spirit Rock Island had been kept sealed off must have been due to its unique features. In the interior of Spirit Rock Island, unlike other islands, it was covered with various formations of different colors, covering almost the entire island area. Only in the very center of the island was there a city and its surrounding areas that were not covered by the formations. Lin Jing followed Yin Ming to the mountain behind the central city. No sooner had the two landed on the mountain than a person emerged from a courtyard on the mountaintop. This person was an elderly man. Though old, his stature was exceptionally robust, not at all like that of an old man. With thick eyebrows and large eyes, and a face full of robust features, topped with a head of disheveled red hair, he exuded a rugged air. Upon coming out, the elder immediately said to Yin Ming, "Yin Ming, you said someone has broken onto the island. Is it this youngster?" While speaking, the elder sized up Lin Jing. His cultivation level is quite good." Yin Ming then spoke up, introducing to Lin Jing, "This is my dear friend, Qi Yin Jinjuan. Qi Yin Jinjuan. He is a renowned energy refinement master of the southern outer seas." After that, Yin Ming introduced Lin Jing to Qi Yin Jinjuan. This is the Uncle Lin that Xing and Yue have been incessantly talking about. Hearing this, Qi Yin Jinjuan suddenly became interested, taking another look at Lin Jing, and said, "Oh, I often hear those two girls talk about Uncle Yin and Uncle Lin, so it's you." Lin Jing, with a smile on his face, replied, "I have also heard of Qi Yin Jinjuan's great reputation for a long time." At this time, Yiming also looked at Lin Jing, smiling, and said, "I have already notified Xing and Yue just now. They will probably come over in a bit. I'm sure they will be very happy to see Lin Daoyu." Yin Ming had just come onto the island with Lin Jing. Lin Jing had not seen him make any move to inform Yin Xing and Yin Yu. Presumably, it was after the two of them entered the island that he secretly notified the two girls. The purpose, no doubt, was also to verify the authenticity of this Uncle Lin. Lin Jing also thoroughly understood this. Lin Jing then nodded, saying, "Very well. It's been many years since I've seen those two girls. By now, they must have grown into young ladies." At this point, Lin Jing suddenly asked Yin Ming, "Brother Yin, I wonder, how is the cultivation of Yin Xing and Yin Yu now? Have they advanced to the golden core stage?" Yin Xing and Yin Yu, though daughters of Yin Ming, only had 4 attribute spiritual roots, which were not of high quality. Logically, with the conditions on Spirit Rock Island and the assistance of a nascent soul cultivator, as long as their spiritual roots were not too poor, they should have become golden core cultivators by now. But those two little girls had such poor talent that Lin Jing wasn't clear on what level of cultivation they'd achieved by now. Upon hearing this, Yin Ming couldn't help but say, "I took my 2 daughters, only to regret that their talents were too poor. Even though I have exhausted all resources to train them, up to now they have only reached the peak of foundation establishment and have not been able to enter the golden core stage." Lin Jing nodded his head, showing understanding. Indeed, with the talent of 4 attribute spiritual roots, it is indeed quite difficult to improve. Just at this moment, 2 beautiful figures walked into the courtyard from outside. After the 2 of them came in, they directly greeted Yin Ming and Qi Yin with a bow. "Daddy, Grandpa Qi Yin." Lin Jing then looked at the 2 of them, although they had grown up and become 2 beautiful young ladies. But it was not hard to recognize that they were the 2 little girls, Yin Xing and Yin Yu. Yin Ming then addressed his 2 daughters, Yin Xing and Yin Yu. "Xing, look, who is this?" When Yin Xing and Yin Yu first came in, they directly looked at Yin Ming and Qi Yin. To them, Lin Jing was just a friend of their father, and they didn't take a closer look. Thus, the 2 hadn't recognized Lin Jing right away. When they heard Yin Ming speak, they finally lifted their heads and looked towards Lin Jing. When they looked at Lin Jing, they were initially confused. However, after observing more carefully, they suddenly realized, only to see Yin Xing's eyes light up as she exclaimed with surprise, "It's Uncle Lin." Yin Yu also came to her senses, saying, "Uncle Lin, it really is you." Yin Ming, upon seeing his two daughters recognize this Uncle Lin, also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Then, Yin Ming explained to Lin Jing, "When I notified them just now, I didn't reveal your identity because I wanted to give you a surprise. Lin Daoyu, you won't mind, will you?" Understanding Yin Ming's intentions, Lin Jing chuckled and said, "Yin Daoyu worries too much, of course I won't." Yin Ming then nodded and said, "Good, good." After that, Yin Ming, with a stern face, said to Yin Xing and Yin Yu, "You two always talking about Uncle Lin, Uncle Yin. Now, your Uncle Lin is right here, and yet it took you so long to recognize him." The two immediately tried to explain. "It's not that. I remember that Uncle Lin didn't look like this before." Yin Xing nodded in agreement and added, "Right, Uncle Lin used to be more robust. He even looked stronger than Grandpa Chi Yin." Yin Yu nodded again and again. "Uncle Lin has changed so much. He's gotten thinner and also more handsome. So, that's why at first my sister and I didn't recognize him." Chi Yin's build was indeed very robust compared to the average person, but for Lin Jing, who previously practiced body refining techniques, it was still somewhat lacking. It was understandable that the two young ladies didn't recognize Lin Jing immediately. Moreover, it had been nearly 20 years since Lin Jing had been apart from the two of them. Thus, Lin Jing also helped to explain, "Yin Daoyu, by saying so, you've wronged them." After listening to the defenses of the two women and Lin Jing's self-indication, Yin Ming also knew there must be some reasons behind it all. He then asked Lin Jing with some curiosity, "Oh, could it be that compared to before, Lin Daoyu has undergone a significant change?" Lin Jing nodded and then said, "That's right. Previously, on Lian Island, I had been practicing a body refining technique, which made my physique incredibly exaggerated, even more robust-looking than Master Chi Yan's. It wasn't until Brother Liu and the others brought Yin Xing and Yin Yu back to Spirit Rock Island that I managed to cultivate this technique up to the 7th level, the highest, which allowed me to return to my original state." After hearing Lin Jing's words, Yin Ming suddenly turned his head and looked toward Chi Yin Immortal. Chi Yin Immortal also furrowed his brows slightly before he asked, "Lin Daoyu, if I'm not mistaken, the body refining technique you practiced before was the 7 refinement body forging technique, wasn't it?" Lin Jing was somewhat surprised and nodded. "Master Chi Yin really is knowledgeable. Indeed, I practiced the 7 refinement body forging technique." Yin Ming seemed to know something, so he spoke up. "Lin Daoyu, you misunderstood. The reason Master Chi Yin knows so clearly is because the 7 refinement body forging technique has some connections with him." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing turned around, looking at Chi Yin Immortal with puzzlement. Chi Yin Immortal lowered his head, silent for a moment, then raised it and explained to Lin Jing, "This 7 refinement body forging technique was created by my master. However, after certain events, my master was pursued by enemies, and he disappeared. The 7 refinement body forging technique that he created disappeared along with my master. As of now, my master has been missing for hundreds of years. I'm afraid he has long since perished. May I know where Lin Daoyu found this technique? Have you encountered my master's remains?" Lin Jing suddenly realized why Chi Yin Immortal was so familiar with this technique. Thus, Lin Jing replied, "I obtained the 7 refinement body forging technique from the body of an enemy, but as for where he acquired it, I have no idea." After listening, Chi Yin Immortal again fell into silence, and then said, "I see." Having finished speaking, Chi Yin Immortal looked at Lin Jing earnestly and said, "Lin Daoyu, I have an impertinent request. I would like to reclaim the 7 refinement body forging technique left by my master from Lin Daoyu. I wonder if Lin Daoyu would be willing. As long as Lin Daoyu is willing to part with this technique, I am ready to pay any price." Seeing his manner, Lin Jing did not hesitate and took out the technique from his space ring, handing it to Chi Yin Immortal, saying, "What are you saying, Master Chi Yin? This technique originally belonged to the master. I'll simply give it to you. Qi Immortal looked at Lin Jing and did not reach out to take the book, instead saying, "One should not accept rewards without deserving them. Since this technique was obtained by Lin Daoyu, it naturally belongs to you, and I have no right to just take it. Tell me, what do you want?" At this point, Yiming also spoke up, saying, "Lin Daoyu, what Master Qi Yin said is right. Although this technique was previously owned by his master, it has now come into your hands, and it is naturally your possession. Whatever you need, do not hesitate to ask. Whether it's a magical treasure, spirit stones, or rare spirit plants, we will strive to fulfill your needs." After listening, Lin Jing pondered for a moment, then spoke. "Master Qi Yin, if I may, I do have a matter for which I need Master Qi Yin's assistance." Qi Yin Immortal immediately opened his mouth to speak. "Lin Daoyu, please proceed." Lin Jing then spoke to Qi Yin Immortal. "Master Qi Yin, I possess a magical treasure I wish to upgrade. The materials have already been prepared by me, but I have not yet found a suitable energy refinement master. Your esteemed name, Master Qi Yin, has long reached my ears, and I am aware that you are a renowned energy refinement master in the Southern Outer Seas. So, if possible, I hope that Master Qi Yin could take a look and see if that magical treasure can be upgraded." Upon hearing this, Qi Yin Immortal raised an eyebrow, instantly intrigued, and said, "Oh, what kind of magical treasure? Bring it to me to see." After saying this, Qi Yin Immortal added, "Lin Daoyu, our levels of cultivation are not much different. There's no need to call me Master, just call me Daoyu." Lin Jing nodded and replied, "Very well. Please wait a moment, Qi Yin Daoyu." After finishing his words, Lin Jing directly took out his magical treasure, the Ling Yin Flawless Sword, and the 7 Refinement Body Forging Technique, and handed them over to Qi Yin Immortal. Qi Yin Immortal reached out and took the Ling Yin Flawless Sword and the 7 Refinement Body Forging Technique. Then, Qi Yin Immortal first glanced at the Ling Yin Flawless Sword, placing it aside, and then picked up the 7 Refinement Body Forging Technique, wiping it gently, his eyes filled with reminiscence. After wiping, he opened it and began to read through the contents. It was only after a moment that Qi Yin Immortal withdrew his somewhat melancholic gaze and said softly, "This 7 Refinement Body Forging Technique is indeed the one created by my master. Back then, in order to accelerate my entry into the path of artifact refining, my master specially crafted a cultivation technique for me, this 7 Refinement Body Forging Technique. Now, when I think about it, it has already been more than 1,000 years ago, and even my master's disappearance has been several hundred years. How time flies." Having said that, Qi Yin Immortal lifted his head and asked Lin Jing, "Lin Daoyu, do you know where your enemy acquired this technique?" Lin Jing responded, "This 7 Refinement Body Forging Technique was taken from his storage bag after my enemy's death. As for where he got it, I'm not entirely certain. However, I do know that the enemy had once established a ruin in the demonic monster's sea, and it's very possible that he acquired the technique there." "A ruin? What sort of ruin is it?" wondered Qi Yin Immortal. Lin Jing recalled for a moment, thinking about the previous conversation between Wu Kai Immortal and the Zhang family patriarch in the demon race secret realm, and the techniques both practiced. He then spoke, "This ruin is very likely related to the 5 elements. Qi Yin Daoyu might want to pay attention to this." After hearing this, Qi Yin Immortal's brow furrowed as he mused. A ruin related to the 5 elements? A moment later, Qi Yin Immortal seemed to have thought of something and spoke. "Speaking of ruins related to the 5 elements in the Southern Outer Seas, there indeed is one. To my knowledge, thousands of years ago, there was once a cultivator who practiced 5 element spells in the Southern Outer Seas, remarkably powerful, asserting dominance over the entire region single-handedly. It is said, the 5 elements cultivation technique he practiced was obtained from a certain ruin, and what you, Lin Daoyu, mentioned might indeed be that very ruin." Lin Jing, after listening, was also surprised and said, "Qi Yin Daoyu, do you know exactly where those ruins are?" True Monarch Yin shook his head and replied, "These ruins have always been a secret. I don't know their exact location either. However, now that I have this information, I will investigate it eventually. At the very least, I need to find my mentor's remains and give them a proper burial." At this time, Yin Ming spoke up to True Monarch Yin. "Rest assured, Brother Yin, I will also find a way to help you locate the ruins." True Monarch Yin took a deep breath to contain his emotions and said, "All right, this matter cannot be resolved in a short time. First, I'll take a look at the flying sword for Lin Daoyu." Having said that, True Monarch Yin put away the 7 refinement body forging technique and then picked up the transparent Ling Yin flawless sword to examine it closely. After picking up the Ling Yin flawless sword, True Monarch Yin's gaze became extremely serious. His eyes sparkled as he scrutinized the Ling Yin flawless sword carefully, until after a long while, True Monarch Yin finally looked up and asked Lin Jing, "This flying sword, with a transparent blade and extreme sharpness, is indeed a fine magical treasure. If paired with a cultivation technique that hides one's aura, it would be most suitable for stealth attacks. Also, has this flying sword been reforged by someone before?" Lin Jing nodded and replied, "Your insight is profound, Yin Daoyu. When I first acquired this flying sword, it was merely a superior magic artifact. Later, due to a stroke of fortune, I obtained another damaged magical treasure flying sword of nearly the same quality. After that, I had someone fuse the 2 swords together to create this current flying sword." True Monarch Yin nodded lightly and said, "I can tell that the craftsman who forged this flying sword did a good job. The fusion of the 2 swords was done just right, maximizing their potential value." After speaking, True Monarch Yin then asked Lin Jing, "Did you mention earlier that you have prepared materials as well?" Lin Jing nodded and replied, "Yes." As he spoke, Lin Jing took out the flowing light crystal gold and bright spirit origin stone he had previously collected from his space ring. He then handed them to True Monarch Yin, saying, "Yin Daoyu, these are the materials I prepared earlier. Please take a look." Upon seeing the materials in Lin Jing's hand, True Monarch Yin's eyes immediately lit up, and he reached out to take the 2 pieces of material from Lin Jing's hands. After observing them for a moment, he commented, "Flowing light crystal gold and bright spirit origin stone. Impressive. Both of these materials are far from ordinary." Hearing this, Yiming also hurried over and said to True Monarch Yin, "Aren't these 2 materials what you mentioned before, not typically used for forging Dao artifacts?" True Monarch Yin nodded and answered, "Indeed, they are materials for forging Dao artifacts, and both of them perfectly match the attributes of Lin Daoyu's flying sword." Lin Jing then spoke up and asked, "Yin Daoyu, what do you think? Is it possible to further improve the quality of this Ling Yin flawless sword? If it can be improved, whatever other materials are needed, just say the word, Yin Daoyu, and I'll find a way to obtain them." True Monarch Yin waved his hand and said to Lin Jing, "Lin Daoyu, there's certainly no problem in enhancing this flying sword. And with these 2 materials, it's completely sufficient to improve the Ling Yin flawless sword. We don't need anything else. In fact, adding other materials might be counterproductive." After finishing, True Monarch Yin looked at Lin Jing and said, "However, the enhancement of this magical treasure won't be accomplished in a short time. I need to make some preparations in advance." Lin Jing replied, "There's no rush. Yin Daoyu, whenever you have time, just come and help me enhance it," Lin Jing said. True Master Yin nodded, then handed the Ling Yin flawless sword and the 2 materials back to Lin Jing, saying, "Lin Daoyu, may I know where you are currently residing? Once I have finished with my affairs here, I will begin preparations to help you enhance the quality of this Ling Yin flawless sword. You can just give me the address, and when the time comes, I'll go directly to find you." Lin Jing nodded and said, "I am currently living on Liyan Island. Yin Daoyu can go directly to Liyan Island to find me when the time comes." True Master Yin spoke, "All right, once I'm done with my affairs, I'll head straight to Liyan Island to find you." After the two had finished discussing, Yin Ming joined in and said, "That works out well. Since Xing and Yue are almost facing their tribulation, I might as well take them with me to Li Yan Island to visit." Upon hearing this, Yin Yu looked at Yin Ming with profound grievance and said, "Daddy, you're finally willing to let us go out." Yin Xing, too, nodded repeatedly, saying, "Yes. Ever since Uncle Yin sent us back last time, we've hardly been out. We're almost dying of boredom on the island." Faced with his daughter's aggrieved looks, Yin Ming felt somewhat overwhelmed and hurriedly explained, "The two of you have such low cultivation. I'm worried about you encountering some mishaps. Just like last time, if you hadn't met Uncle Lin and Uncle Yin, you might have been out of luck by now. So this time, how about on this trip to Li Yan Island? I'll let you two play for a few extra days. Would that be okay?" Upon hearing this, the two girls nodded eagerly and said, "Yes. It's about time we want to visit Uncle Yin, Uncle Lu, and Uncle Sanhe again." At this point, Yin turned her head and asked Lin Jing, "By the way, Uncle Lin, why haven't Uncle Yin, Uncle Lu, and Uncle Sanhe come this time?" Lin Jing replied to the two, "Your Uncle Yin, Uncle Lu, and Uncle Sanhe are not currently on Li Yan Island. They have gone to other places." Yin Yu then frowned and said, "Is that so? I was hoping to give Uncle Yin a surprise." After dealing with the affair concerning Dai Mao, Lin Jing, Lu Yojiao, and Hala Three Rivers had all been quite busy. For half a year, it had been Yin Wanfei and Yu Qi who had been accompanying the two young ladies, so they were closer to Yin Wanfei and Yu Qi. Lin Kai then said, "Uncle Yin won't be there, but Aunt Yu Qi will be. When that time comes, you can meet with Aunt Yu Qi." Upon hearing this, the two girls were delighted and said, "Great." Having said this, Lin Jing then discussed with everyone else about the next meeting on Li Yan Island. After the discussion was over, Lin Jing did not stay long on Spirit Rock Island and, after declining Yin Ming's invitation to stay as a guest, bid farewell to everyone and left Spirit Rock Island. Only after leaving the boundaries of Spirit Rock Island did Lin Jing take out the Shadow Escape flying boat and fly towards Li Yan Island. Having been away for so long, he imagined that Li Qingqing, along with Lin Ju and Yi Yun, must be quite anxious by now. And as for Li Yan Island, he wondered how it was faring. Lin Jing piloted the flying boat, speeding all the way. Within less than 2 days, he had returned to the region of the Thousand Islands domain. As Lin Jing approached Li Yan Island on his flying boat, before he even caught sight of it, he sensed that something was amiss. Because, up to now, Lin Jing had not seen a single cultivator heading towards Li Yan Island. Ever since Li Yan Fong Market's prosperity, although the vicinity of Li Yan Island was not as bustling with people coming and going incessantly like Beihai Island, it was never completely deserted. Sensing this situation, Lin Jing felt a sense of foreboding and immediately extended his divine sense towards Li Yan Island. After advancing to the Nascent Soul stage, Lin Jing's divine sense had been further strengthened, and although he was now merely at the early stages of the Nascent Soul stage, his divine sense had already reached the peak of the Nascent Soul Peak stage. The scope within which the divine sense of the Nascent Soul Peak stage could investigate was dozens of times greater than that during the Golden Core stage. If he were on Li Yan Island, with Lin Jing's current divine sense, he could easily envelop Li Yan Island and the surrounding sea in it. At this moment, although he had yet to see it, Lin Jing was not far from Li Yan Island. That is why Lin Jing had extended his divine sense towards Li Yan Island. As soon as he probed Li Yan Island, Lin Jing frowned. For as Lin Jing used his divine sense to probe Li Yan Island, he discovered that the 5th-rank trap-killing formation designed to protect the island was currently activated. This 5th-rank trap-killing formation would normally not be activated and would only be triggered when danger was encountered. Activating this formation signified that Li Yan Island was facing an enemy, and moreover, an enemy that the people of Li Yan Island could not resolve on their own. Now that he was very close to Li Yan Island, there was no need to continue piloting the flying boat. Lin Jing then directly stored the flying boat and continued flying towards Liyan Island. Upon arriving outside Liyan Island, Lin Jing stood firmly in front of the 5th-rank trap-killing formation. At this time, the 5th-rank trap-killing formation in front of him was activated, and the entire array was shrouded in a dense white fog, shielding any sight of what lay within. Even divine sense could not penetrate it. You must understand, this was a 5th-rank trap-killing formation that could even block a divinity transformation cultivator for a time, let alone Lin Jing. If Lin Jing rashly barged in, he might immediately become ensnared by the formation. However, Lin Jing did not need to force his way through the formation. He could control it. After Hala 3 Rivers completed the arrangement of the formation, he gave Lin Jing several array plates used to control the entire formation, as well as the corresponding control incantation. Apart from the master control plate Lin Jing had on him, he had also handed out 2 auxiliary control plates. These 2 auxiliary control plates were given to Yu Qi's mother and Li Qingqing. Similarly, Lin Jing taught them the incantations needed to control the array plates. Normally, there was no difference between the master control plate and the auxiliary control plates, as both could control the formation. However, commands issued from the master control plate superseded those from the auxiliary control plates. Just like now, the 5th-rank trap-killing formation had been closed and controlled by the auxiliary control plates in the hands of Li Qingqing or Yu Qi's mother. Lin Jing could open it using the master control plate. But if the situation were reversed, Lin Jing would not be able to open the formation and enter Liyan Island. This was, in fact, a special safety measure set up by Hala 3 Rivers to prevent others with ulterior motives from obtaining the array plates and incantation. Lin Jing then took out the master array plate from his space ring, holding it in his hand. The array plate was not large, only about the size of a palm. At this time, before activation, it looked like a round copper piece engraved with countless fine lines. Those fine lines were actually formation patterns. Lin Jing held the array plate and then started to channel spiritual power into it. As Lin Jing input his spiritual power, the array plate slowly lit up with white light, enveloping it completely. Subsequently, his lips moved slightly as he recited the incantation. The formation patterns on the array plate also started to activate, lighting up. After a moment, the array plate was fully activated, and an image of an active 5th-rank trap-killing formation appeared on it. Then, Lin Jing began to control the array plate, manipulating the trap-killing formation, and started to slowly open it. As Lin Jing operated the array plate in his hand, the trap-killing formation protecting Liyan Island in front of him also started to glow with formation patterns, gradually changing. Until after a while, the white fog within the trap-killing formation began to slowly disperse, and the entire formation began to slowly conceal itself. After the formation had completely disappeared, Liyan Island appeared once again before Lin Jing. In the sky above Liyan Island, several people stood tense and ready in front of Lin Jing, their gazes fixed upon him. These individuals were the group of golden cores from Liyan Island. Yu Qi's mother, Li Qingqing, and Lin Ju were among them. In addition to them, there were Huang Lin Xian, Yin Liun, and the golden core cultivator who guarded the spirit field. One could say that aside from Yi Yun, all the golden cores within Liyan Island were present. Upon seeing Lin Jing, they were initially startled and then suddenly erupted into joyous exclamation. "Brother Lin Jing! Brother! Island Master!" Shortly thereafter, they hurriedly flew over to Lin Jing. The first to approach was Lin Ju. Upon her arrival, she immediately latched onto Lin Jing's arm and then gave a squeeze, as if she couldn't believe it was real. Li Qingqing was next. When she reached Lin Jing, she stopped. Her eyes were slightly red as she called out to Lin Jing, "Brother Lin Jing." After that, Li Qingqing took a good look at Lin Jing and then said, "Zhang Jian said you might not come back, but I didn't believe it, so I've been waiting for you to return. Sure enough, I knew it, Brother Lin Jing. You would definitely come back." Lin Jing turned to Li Qingqing with a smile and said, "There was a bit of an accident earlier, but it's all sorted out now." At this time, the others also reached Lin Jing. Island Master, you've finally come back, Yuchi's mother said with a laugh, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. The rest of them, though silent, wore excitement on their faces that was evident beyond words. Lin Jing examined each person carefully and nodded. Yes, I'm back. Has everything been all right while I was away? We've all been fine. It's just that we've been quite worried about the Island Master. Yuchi's mother said. Yes, we've all been all right. The others echoed in agreement. Lin Jing looked at them, saw that none had any signs of injury, and nodded in relief. Then, Lin Jing spoke again, addressing Yuchi's mother. Yuchi's mother, why was the defensive array activated? Could it be that we at Liyan Island have encountered a formidable enemy? Upon hearing Lin Jing's question, Yuchi's mother suddenly fell silent. Not just her, but Li Qingqing, Lin Ju, and the others also became quiet. After a moment, Yuchi's mother began to speak. This is a long story. Let's return to Liyan City and discuss it there. Lin Jing nodded and said, All right. Afterward, Lin Jing and the others returned to Liyan City together. On his way back, as he passed through the Fong market of Liyan, Lin Jing took a special look, noting that the Fong market had expanded significantly compared to when he had left. It was at least 5 times larger than before. However, the market was now incredibly deserted, with not a single person in sight. Even the shops on the street had their doors firmly shut, a stark contrast to the past. After returning to Liyan City, the group headed straight for the City Lord's Mansion's council hall. Upon taking their seats, Lin Jing immediately asked, Tell me, what exactly happened? Yuchi then stood up and said, Island Master, actually, this matter goes back to the Fong market of Liyan. Before your disappearance, Island Master, hadn't we already planned the expansion of the market? Lin Jing nodded and said, Yes. The previous Fong market was indeed too crowded, and without expansion, it would have impacted future development negatively. After finishing, Lin Jing added, Gee, could it be that it's because of the expansion of the Fong market of Liyan that we attracted powerful enemies, forcing you to activate the defensive array? Yuchi nodded and replied, Pretty much. Our market's expansion gradually took shape, and the market became formalized, attracting many people. However, this also incited jealousy from others. Then, some people set their sights on us. Moreover, your prolonged absence, Island Master, also made some people restless. Although we have always told the outside world that you were in seclusion, but there are still some who wish to take over our island, desiring to claim Liyan Island as their own. And those people are extremely powerful in their cultivation. We are no match for them. We had no choice but to activate the defensive array to protect ourselves. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing's expression grew solemn, and a cold light flickered in his eyes. As for those who wanted to take advantage of the situation and target Liyan Island, Lin Jing naturally wouldn't let them off easily. Now that he was back, it was time to settle past scores. Afterward, Lin Jing asked Yuchi, Who are these people? Yuchi pondered for a moment before speaking. At first, after you disappeared, Island Master, there weren't any issues. But after the Fong market was fully expanded, a huge fire broke out. Unexpectedly, several islands near Liyan Island, and even other places in the Thousand Islands domain, heard about our Fong market. They came flocking. When this happened, I realized something was wrong and immediately suspended the market. But even then, a few island masters from other islands recognized the value behind the Fong market of Liyan and became eager to take it over, even Liyan Island itself. Those people all have at least late-stage golden core cultivation. We, a few, are simply no match for them. It wasn't until later that Zhang Jian, a fellow Taoist, took action and taught them a lesson, which quelled some people's intentions. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing felt deeply relieved. He truly hadn't misjudged Zhang Jian. He really stepped up when needed. Yuchi continued, Currently, it seems only Jin Ju and his brother Jin Ao from Insha Island are still coveting our Liyan Island. The Jin brothers, both at the peak of golden core cultivation, also wish to encroach on Liyan Island. Moreover, Taoist Zhang has taken action before, clashing with them in a battle. However, being alone, Daoist Zhang was not a match for the Jin brothers. For this matter, fellow Daoist Zhang suffered some injuries and should be recovering on Yuxing Island now. Hearing this, Lin Jing's eyebrows slightly furrowed as he said, "Zhang Jian was injured?" Yuqi nodded and said, "Yes." During their confrontation, Zhang Jian wasn't their match and suffered some injuries. Just when the situation was most perilous, a mysterious demon cultivator appeared out of nowhere and fought alongside fellow Daoist Zhang against the Jin brothers. That demon cultivator seemed to have some old acquaintance with fellow Daoist Zhang, and he was not lacking in strength either. He also had the cultivation of the Golden Core Peak. Only through their joint efforts were they able to defeat and drive away the Jin brothers. After defeating the Jin brothers, the mysterious demon cultivator left directly, and fellow Daoist Zhang was too injured to defend. Thus, we activated this 5th rank confinement and killing formation. Until you, Island Master, returned. Lin Jing nodded slightly. That demon cultivator, if Lin Jing wasn't mistaken, must be Li Tongyu. Li Tongyu and Zhang Jian joining forces were barely a match for the two Jin brothers. It seems, the skills of those two were not ordinary either. However, now, in Lin Jing's eyes, those two Jin brothers amounted to nothing. With his own nascent soul stage cultivation, he could easily annihilate both of them. And if those two intended to invade his Liyan Island, then Lin Jing naturally wouldn't treat them politely. This was just right, for Lin Jing felt that the harvest points were not sufficient. He wanted to expand the range of the spirit fields and continue planting spirit plants. Now, it seemed that the Insha Island of the Jin brothers was quite suitable. Lin Jing then spoke up once more, asking Yuqi, "Apart from the Jin brothers, has anyone else shown covetous intentions towards our Liyan Island?" Yuqi knitted her brows in thought for a moment before answering. "Besides the Jin brothers, I've also heard that when our Liyan Fong market experienced its explosion, it had some impact on the business at the Yellen Island market. There's information suggesting that the true Lord of Yellen Island also intends to take over our Liyan Island, although the true Lord of Yellen has yet to take any action, so we don't know if the news is true. That's all there is to it." After hearing this, Lin Jing frowned slightly. He did not regard those Jin brothers as a concern, but since the true Lord of Yellen was a nascent soul cultivator, Lin Jing had to be somewhat more cautious. Lin Jing had heard of the true Lord of Yellen before. He was a nascent soul mid-stage cultivator, occupying the sole mid-sized island in this sea region, Yellen Island. Of course, Yellen Island wasn't known by this name before, but was renamed after being occupied by the true Lord of Yellen. Moreover, there was also a market on Yellen Island, except that this market didn't engage with the low-tier loose cultivators in the Thousand Islands domain. Seeing this market gap was what led Lin Jing to think of establishing the Liyan Fong market. Originally, Lin Jing had planned to slowly control the scale of the Liyan Fong market, expanding it gradually without drawing much attention. But before he could implement his plan, he was transported into the devouring spirit blood realm, and the sudden explosion of activity in the Liyan Fong market drew the eyes of others. This was what led to the current situation. However, now Lin Jing was back, and he also had the cultivation of a nascent soul stage. So Lin Jing now had enough strength to get the Liyan Fong market back up and running. As for the true Lord of Yellen, Lin Jing felt it was necessary to find a time to meet with him.